Hello, folks. I'm Ken Ween, and this is It Matters Radio. Today, I have with me a musician from Kansas City. His name is Bill Abernathy. And since he is from Kansas City, of course, the first question I have to ask isn't about music, isn't about anything else. It's got to be about ribs, right?
Well, yeah. That's what Kansas City's known for. So yeah, we got the best barbecue in the country. I know that there are going to be people that challenge that. I get those challenges, particularly from my friends in Texas. But to date, when they actually come to Kansas City and I take them to the good barbecue restaurants, which are typically some old broke down gas station somewhere.
Right.
They sit back and they go, "Oh, Bill, I think maybe you are right. I think you guys do have the best barbecue and the best ribs." So yeah, it's fact. Kansas City. It's what we're all about.
It's the dry. You prefer the dry rub, right?
Without question. So I'll just have to tell you, there's some parameters that I use when I am dealing with barbecue, and one of them is sauce on the side. Okay,
Hey! I'm with
I know
you,
you
man.
got great sauce. I'm tickled to death with you, but I want to know how well you can actually prepare the meat. That's
Oh,
important to me.
I absolutely agree with you. I always get my sauce on the side. The
Yeah,
other,
without
you know, the other question I have, any true barbecue person. Now, for me, if I'm going to have barbecue, I want condiments. I want pickles. I want onions. Maybe some pepper. Are you a condiment person?
yeah, in a different way. So I'm not a fan of pickles necessarily, but when I do barbecue, there's a couple of things that I have to have. Number one, I have to have a stack of fresh made onion rings to go along with that. And if they have some deep fried mushrooms to sit on the side of that barbecue, that's a pretty good day, man. It's a pretty good day.
You know what else goes great with barbecue, which is very difficult to find? Sweet potato tater tots. Not regular tater tots, they're okay, but sweet potato tater tots go so well with a good plate of barbecue.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question because I think you told me, but you live where?
Well, right now I live in Tucson. I'm originally from New England and
Yeah.
I've spent most of my adult life in New York. But I have eaten barbecue all across this country. I mean, we went to Hawaii. The first restaurant we had to find was a barbecue restaurant.
Uh, uh, well, I was just going to comment that since you mentioned sweet potato tater tots, I can walk a half a block from where I live and get them right now.
Which gets us to a great topic, which is you're doing something really special to support local business. You don't need to make a lot of money as a musician. Hopefully you will. Hopefully people are buying your music. And I've listened to some and I know it's good music. But you're doing something, you earn a living working for a large company and you have a lot of responsibility in your work. So music is like your second career. And but you're using it right now to help support these small businesses like this place you can walk to get these tater tots. And I think what you're doing is really special. So could you tell the audience a little bit about what you're doing?
Sure, would love to. Uh, so it kind of started with an idea, now that we're in quarantine mode, right? And we're all kind of locked up. And I personally have been pretty much here in my loft for the last 8 weeks. Now, I'm fortunate in that I can do what I do for a living
Mm-hmm.
from home, right?
Right.
And so the quarantine hasn't really affected me financially, but where I live here in the Kansas City market area, there are a lot of really small businesses, mom and pops, if you would, that I rely on. It's where I get my food, it's where I get my drink. It's also where I meet a lot of people. I have a lot of social interaction there. And I love those small businesses. It's one of the primary reasons I live where I live. So
Absolutely.
as you can imagine, these mom and pop businesses, these smaller businesses, really rely on foot traffic. And now that we're all locked up, right, and we're not supposed to be getting out much, right, they're struggling, you know. So I look at what some of my friends were doing. I have a lot of friends that are musicians, guys that I record with, guys that I play, in the bands and all that stuff with, and they're doing all this live streaming concerts, right? And so they're doing that, and they're asking for tips on their PayPal or their Venmo or whatever, and I think that's cool. And it's a wonderful thing, and I support them. I listen to one for a few minutes every night to support them in what they're doing. But what do we do with the small businesses? They can't go out and live stream and cook a hamburger. That's not something they can do, right? So I got to thinking about it, and my daughter's kind of a marketing person, and I was saying, well, what do you think we could do? And she said, well, what if you did this? What if you just shot it out across your social media networks, which are fairly extensive, and say, I'll play your request for you. And in return for that, right, you support a local business in your area. It doesn't have to be mine, right? Doesn't have to be somebody close to me. And then that kind of evolved into you make a request and I'll record your song for you and make you a video of me playing whatever song that is that you wanted. And then in response, you go out and support a local business, whether you order pickup or drive through or buy something from their website, maybe buy something off their uh, their website, a gift card, right? I had a request come in from a very good friend of mine that was very concerned as a female friend, right? And she was very concerned. And I don't know about you, Ken, but I'm a little ragged right now, right? My hair hasn't been cut in a while. My beard's going a little bit crazy, right? Well, she was very concerned about the lady that does her nails, right? Small business, right? And so she requested a song, and God bless her, she requested a hard one. So I had to work at it, and in return for that, she donated $1,000 to her manicurist to keep them viable until the economy opens back up and all that. Now, that's somebody that has the wherewithal to do that. But it was great. I think that's a cool thing. I've had other people that request a song, and they'll just order in, drive by, pick up, their dinner, and another person went out and bought a gift card to this business, because they aren't even the kind of business that you can order something and go pick it up. They're really relying upon pure retail,
Right.
and so I just think it's a cool idea. We're having a ton of fun with it, right? And it's kind of nice.
I just want to clarify a couple of things here, Bill, for people. First of all, while Bill does have a great repertoire, and you should look for his music, he's not limiting us to just his music. You name the song. The thing is, of course, you can't you can't play it elsewhere. You can't upload it on YouTube or anything like that, folks, because it is copywritten. It's a person, you can perform it once for a personal kind of thing. But if you do it that way, then it becomes a copyright infringement. So it's a personal recording, but you can name your song. Or you can, I guess, say to Bill, hey, Bill, why don't you, this is what I love. Come up with the song you think would be work too. And I just love this idea. And then, of course, the other thing is we're talking local small business. We're not talking, and now I'll go on Amazon and a carton of Charmin toilet paper. We're talking about your neighborhood stores where the folks who live around you hurting. The restaurants, maybe the dry cleaner, could be a local grocer. Like I have a Middle Eastern grocer I love dearly here, and just a local little. We're not talking a chain grocery store. We're talking a local grocery. We're talking. I don't know. I guess I could just walk out the door and find all my local grocery, all my local stores. Florists, God, florists are really getting hit because it's so hard for them to get flowers at this point. We have a program here. I live in Tucson, Arizona, as you know, and we have a program. It's very nice for those of us who've been taking part. Somebody funded it. And so if I buy a $25 gift card to a restaurant or a hairdresser or whatever it is, I get a $35 gift card. I spend 25, I get a 35, which is great for me and I guess great for them. But you know what? I don't need the $10. I do need the music.
Yeah.
You know, I can pull a $10 bill out of my pocket and make, an add to that gift card, but I can't add a song to my life. And so I think this is just such a wonderful. Now, folks, you will have noticed on the posting here, there'll be a link to Bill on Facebook, and most of our audience are on Facebook. And you can contact him on that. Even if you're not friends with him, you can message him. I'm sure he's the kind of guy who's looking to see if people are messaging him and trying to friend him. And you can say, look, I live in, I don't know, let's say Albuquerque. And I'm going to do something real corny here. I've only spent a couple nights in Albuquerque in my life, but I set one of my novels. I'm a writer. I set one of my novels there. It's called Tales from the Dewdrop Inn. Now, if there were a Dewdrop Inn in Albuquerque, I don't know if there is or isn't, but if there were, you see, and I called up and said, hey, I want to, I'm going to get myself a couple of margaritas, to go at the Dewdrop Inn. Bill, would you play me a good drinking song while I'm doing? See, that would be a cool thing to do, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's I see it more as an awareness gig, right? Just something that reminds people that folks are struggling a little bit, and let's have a little fun with it. Why not have a little bit of fun? And I've gotten some very interesting requests. So I mean, at the end of the day, I'm kind of a singer-songwriter, folk singer guy, right? But I've gotten a few very interesting ones. One of the more challenging ones for me is I have a granddaughter who's 3 years old. She's 3 and she loves her papa. And when she comes over to see me, she likes to sing in the microphones, because I have a little studio here in my loft, right? And obviously she's not coming to visit nearly as frequently as she used to, right? And so she called me, she said, Papa, I want you to sing in the microphone for me, and I want you to sing Let It Go, the theme song from Frozen. Now, that's really not a Bill thing, right? And I do kind of exercise first right of refusal on some of these songs. But when your granddaughter says, I want you to sing Let It Go.
She's got you wrapped.
I'm singing Let It Go. There's some other ones, right, that I found to be pretty interesting. A really old friend of mine, I think she was just messing with me a little bit, and she wanted me to play Meatloaf's 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad. Well, it's a good song, but really, but yeah, so I did this, right? Now, I will have to tell you that I do have one rule with this, because when you open what I call the Pandora's box of requests, right? And we've done this, live in concerts and all the stuff, right? It is inevitable that you will get the same 2 requests, right? Somebody is going to be standing in the back with a Bud Light in his hand yelling, play Freebird. It's going to happen. Play Freebird. That'll happen. And of course, everybody wants to hear Stairway to Heaven, right? Those are the 2 most requested songs of all time. So I don't play either one of those, but I do have a combination of those 2 songs that I play to kind of pacify those requests that I call Stairway to Freebird. So it's out there, and you could go check that one out. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually out on your website.
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page. So, you mentioned copyrights and all that, right? So I don't use my Facebook page for monetary stuff. So you can you can pretty much post about anything that you want out there, and as opposed to YouTube and some of the commercialized sites. So yeah, it's out there. Stairway to Freebird, baby. Rock and roll.
Okay. So, folks, I'm talking with Bill Abernathy, just because we want to make sure you get that name there, right? When you're looking on Facebook, he does have a website, which is your name, right?
Yeah, BillAbernathy.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's on Facebook. And, at the end of the show, of course, we're going to have some of his music so you can hear. I've already listened to your music, Bill. You're pretty damn good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Looks wise, you remind me a little of one of my all-time favorites. I'm kind of an older guy, Burl Ives, a little bit like Burl Ives, and you got that nice deep voice that I wish I had.
Yeah, well, I don't have your New York accent, though, which is something that I think is pretty cool.
So anyway, did you grow up in Kansas City?
Yeah, I actually grew up in just a little suburb of Kansas City called Independence, Missouri, the home of Harry Truman.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've been to Independence.
Yeah. And actually, to be honest with you, I sang at Harry Truman's funeral. Of all the interesting things, just a local kid. For a couple of reasons. He and my dad was a paratrooper in World War II. And Harry and my dad were friends. My dad sometimes would walk with him, when he'd go on his famous walks around Independence. He requested that I sing at his funeral. So, yeah.
So you actually got to meet him?
Oh, yeah. We had dinner at his house.
Oh, wow. I am so envious. I have met some great political figures. I did, in fact, I met Ike Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
But Harry Truman was always one of my great, great heroes. And I really wanted to meet him, but of course never got to. And so I'm kind of envious of you that you had that.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. I always consider to be Harry Truman a non-politician political world, right? He approached things a little bit differently than most politicians would. So,
it's interesting because, of course, he fought in the First World War, and he rose to the rank of, if I recall correctly, captain. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the things you could see how extraordinary a man he was in that. In situations where other men would have failed, he managed to motivate his soldiers, and they fought bravely and brilliantly, and he was an extraordinarily good field commander. And he brought that same tenacity and motivation and that ability to inspire to the White House. And he moved in. He had no prep. It wasn't like now where the vice president and the president are in lockstep. That's a fairly recent change in the way this country operates. And Truman didn't even know they were developing an atomic bomb. He knew next to nothing about what was going on. And yet, apparently, Roosevelt, in picking him, one of the things he apparently said, and what I've read, is that he was one of the few people that Roosevelt trusted to do the job honestly and correctly.
Yeah, Harry's a good man. If you ever get a chance and you happen to be in Independence, his presidential library is there, and it's a good day. It's a good day to go through there and look at all the history and all that. Kansas City has, several places like that. We have a tremendous World War I memorial in Kansas City that is very, very interesting to look at. We have the Kansas City Union Station, which is always interesting for me to go down and visit. There's a bunch of restaurants and stuff in there, but it's actually where my dad shipped out to World War II from. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of family history there as well. So.
Yeah. I have to ask you, Dad. You said your dad was a paratrooper, which of course is like dangerous stuff, and it's not only dangerous but also demanding. especially then. I mean, the chutes they were using and all the equipment was nothing like we use now. Did he have to jump, or did he just at some point did he jump in battle?
Yeah, my dad always said that he jumped out of a plane 46 times before he landed in one, and the first time he landed in it scared the hell out of him, right? He was in World War II, 82nd Airborne, jumped into D-Day, and on his way down, he was shot in the leg, landed, broke his leg, ended up in a German POW camp for about 5 months or so, and finally got liberated from there. Went back to Paris and got all healed up. Had I think three Purple Hearts and a whole bunch of stuff. He actually at one point was an honor guard for General Patton, which was way cool. He's actually the story behind my tune, actually the title tune of my second album, that's called Find a Way. My dad was a really, really spectacular person and a great story and a great man. And he always taught me that if you want something bad enough in life and you're willing to put in the blood, sweat, tears, and toil, you can always find a way, always. And I wrote the Find a Way tune about his last day on Earth, and kind of reminiscing about the stories that he told me and the things that he had done, and the things that he had taught me, over the course of his life. And very special guy, and be a good song for you to listen to if you like that kind of stuff. It's my most requested tune that I have, so it's on the album called Find a Way. So.
Mm-hmm. So if I say to you right now, I'm going to order out my dinner, will you send me a recording of you doing Find a Way?
Sure.
Okay.
Without question.
That, my friend, is an absolute deal. I want to hear that song. Well, I guess you could just send me the link.
I think that I already have. But I'm writing a note, so bear with me. I can't talk and write at the same time because I'm just not that bright, right? But yeah, I have several videos of me playing Find a Way already, and so I'll look through and see if I have one. But if I don't, I tell you what I'll do, kid. Just because it's us, right? And you're going to order barbecue in that horrible barbecue world that you live, because it's nowhere near what you need to have, because it's not Kansas City barbecue.
No, it isn't. But we do have one place way downtown, actually, where they come close to Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think
this is what I'll do
up there.
Since you're going to order barbecue, and I feel a little bit for you that you can't quite get the quality of barbecue that you need, I will make you a special just for Ken recording of the Find a Way tune.
Great.
And I'll tell the whole story. It'll take a bit. It's about a 10-minute gig by the time I tell the whole story, all that. I'll make that specifically for you.
Now, if you do that, since it is your copyright, could I share it?
Sure.
Okay, folks, one of the things I think we might do is like a little extra special on the It Matters Radio YouTube channel. And we're just going to put that song and that little recording that is a special for those of you who are smart enough to be listening to this.
Nice.
We won't have commenting or anything. We're just going to have it so you can hear it with Bill's permission. Because So
well, I think you'll enjoy that song. When I was on tour, I toured in January this year, so I'm one of the lucky guys that got to tour before everything hit, right? And I was on tour in January, and in southern Colorado, I think. And I was playing this show, and there's a couple of hundred people there, and there was this one guy, man, that was sitting all by himself, over kind of in the corner, and he nursed a beer through the whole show. And I think I probably played 2.5 hours or something, right? And he was nursing this one beer, and he came up to me after the show, and I was talking to some other people and doing the whole, signing autographs and all that stuff. And this guy waited and waited and waited And finally, he came up to me and he looked at me and he said, I came tonight. I drove 2.5 hours to come tonight to hear you play Find a Way acoustic because I was touring by myself, right? And I looked at him and I said, well, man, that's dedicated, And he said, well, I'll have to tell you what, Bill, that song touched me. And 2 days ago, my father passed away. And so when I listen to that song, it really helps me. It really helps me deal with that situation. So what a great thing. As a matter of fact, at that point, I just checked the box. Tour done. I'm complete. Anything else that I do is just a bonus. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. There are moments in our lives when we really make that connection. It could be in a bar, could be into a broadcast like that. It could be, actually sitting down to meet people intentionally, whatever it is. But all of a sudden, there's that connection where we say, "My God, this mattered."
Yeah, yeah, and that's why people ask me, because I do the whole corporate gig as well. But people ask me why I do this, and it's not. I make a little bit of money with this, it kind of pays for itself and all that. But it's not because I have this burning desire, right, to go out and be a rock star and all that. I did all that junk when I was a kid, right? I want to see if what I have to say actually touches people, if people can relate to it, as you mentioned, will it matter in their lives? Because effectively, I'm a storyteller, right? And it's something that I can say, a story that I can tell, a tune that I can play, can help somebody along the way, right? And maybe put a smile on their face, or make them, give them a chance to reminisce about something, or maybe make them think, that to me is what it's all about. And really, that's why it works so well. It works so well with what we're doing with the local businesses, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't play just to be playing. There has to be some reason, and to help them out and to do what we're doing. And to be honest with you, Ken, I'm having a ball with it. I'm playing songs I would never play, right? And I know this is probably hard for you to believe as an old folk singer with a dozen guitars sitting back behind me. I've never played a Meatloaf song in my life, but I made a recording of a Meatloaf song. Right? So it's challenging. It's fun. We're having a good time with it, and it's helping people. Maybe put a smile on some people's face and help some of the local businesses. So it's a good time. And really, we're in quarantine. What the hell else do I have to do? Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And folks, I've been talking today with Bill Abernathy. He is a singer. He's also an accomplished businessman. So, but most importantly, and this is what really matters for me, he's a human being. What in Yiddish we call a mensch, a real person. And Bill, I thank you so much for joining us today on It Matters Radio.
My pleasure, kid. Thank you very much.
About a little Gordon Lightfoot tonight. If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old time movie about a ghost from a wishing well. In a castle dark or a fortress strong with chains upon my feet, you know that ghost is me. And I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost that you can't see. If I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. Just like a paperback novel, the kind the drugstore carousel. When you reach the part where the heartaches come, the hero could be me, but heroes often fail. And you won't read that book again because the ending's just too hard to take. I'll walk away like a movie star who gets burned in a three-way script. Enter number 2. A movie queen to play the scene of bringing all the good times out in me. But this time let's get real. I never thought I could act this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't know where we went wrong. The feeling's gone, I just can't get it back. If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old time movie about a ghost from a wishing well. In a castle dark or a fortress strong with chains upon my feet, the story always ends. And if you read between the lines, you know that I'm just trying to understand that feeling that you left. I never thought I could feel this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't know where we went wrong, but